big bailout plan fails. I'm Ed Kelly, editor of the Oklahoman. With me from Washington is Chris Castile, chief of the Oklahoman's Washington Bureau and a frequent contributor here on News OK TV. Okay, Chris, let's get right to the point. Why did the House vote down this bailout plan, despite pleas from both the White House and leaders of both parties?
Well, Ed, I think first you start out with the situation that nobody wanted to vote for this thing. It was an incredibly tough vote. The way it was portrayed, of course, in the media, that it was a $700 billion bailout of Wall Street, made it really tough. The calls from the constituents all over the country have been coming into members' offices, angry about this, that they'd be exposed to this kind of bailout because of the excesses of Wall Street. And you had two groups in the House, Ed, that really were fundamentally against it in principle. Liberal Democrats, who populist people who don't really want taxpayer money to be used for Wall Street, and for the same reasons, conservative Republicans who don't ever really want to see government intervention in the markets, particularly at this scale. But still, over the weekend, you had people from both parties on Capitol Hill, and of course the administration heavily involved in trying to meet some of the objections that are being voiced from members about executive pay and oversight and the possibility that taxpayers could recoup some of the money. So I'm sure they thought going into the vote that it was going to be close, but that they'd probably be able to pull it out. But they didn't, and some of the Republicans immediately after the vote, including the House Republican leader John Boehner, blamed House Speaker Nancy Pelosi for some inflammatory comments she made during her speech on the House floor today about the Bush administration. Boehner said that they had some votes that they thought they could get that just basically, quote, went south after the Speaker's speech. But again, this was never going to be an easy vote. It was always going to be close. So, who knows for those 10 members, dozen members who just couldn't do it at the last minute, why?
Okay, Chris, what about the 5 members of the House from Oklahoma? What was their reaction to this legislation?
Well, they split, not exactly split. 2 voted for it, Congressman Dan Boren of Muskogee and Congressman Tom Cole of Moore, who is a member of the House Republican leadership team, by the way, and most of the House Republican leadership team got on board on this over the weekend. And the 3 that were against, Congresswoman Mary Fallin, Congressman John Sullivan, Congressman Frank Lucas. Lucas is actually a member of the House Financial Services Committee, and one of the people who really is thoughtful on this, who's been into the nitty-gritty of this for the past week. And basically, he said he voted against it because that's what he heard from his constituents all last week, heavily against this bill, and he wanted to reflect their opposition to it. Congressman Boren, I talked to a few minutes ago, said that he got the same kind of calls from his district, adamantly opposed, but that he thought that if they knew what a lot of the lawmakers knew about the financial situation, how precarious it was, that they might change their minds about it. So, again, there's 2 of the 5.
Yeah, okay. What happens next in Congress, if anything?
Well, I think that there's going to be a strong push to modify it and try to pass it again, to try to meet as many of the objections as they can, probably try to massage the public relations on this a little bit, knowing that so much of the opposition, at least for the few that might be open to voting for it, just the pressure on them from their constituents because of the way, again, this has been portrayed to the public as a bailout of Wall Street. The Jewish holiday starts tonight, so there's a feeling that maybe they won't be able to go at it until possibly Wednesday or Thursday, but I think the sense is, at least right now, is that they're going to try it again this week.
Okay, Chris, good work. Thank you. Stay here on News OK for more coverage of this continuing story.